What's up, YouTube? This is GalacticGod, and I'm coming at you today with my deck profile of the deck I used at the recent 100th YCS in Long Beach, California. So for those of you who followed me on both Facebook and or Twitter, you know by now that I used Elemental Heroes. Now this is a Elemental Hero Bubbleman variant. I'm going to kind of go over my reasoning why I chose Elemental Heroes to use in the 100th YCS, as well as my different card choices in the deck. So, first up, let me go ahead and just get right into the deck build. Okay, so for the monsters, we're playing one Elemental Hero Stratos, as well as 1, 2, 3 copies of the Elemental Hero Alius, 1, 2, 3 copies of Elemental Hero Bubbleman. Now, I wanted one more extra Elemental Hero in the deck. Typically, you just play these 7, but I felt like I needed that little extra oomph, mostly because I'm also playing the Mass Change element in the deck. So for that purpose, I chose Elemental Hero the Heat, or Elemental Hero Heat. This guy is a pretty cool monster. He can be pretty beefy at times. Comes out at 1800, and then is able to get over your opponent's monster, especially if there's another E-Hero monster on the field. It becomes 2000, and so forth and so on. Goes up 200 for every E-Hero on the field. Very cool, nice, neat little card. It was kind of between him and Elemental Hero Wildheart. I really wanted another target for my Mass Change and someone strong, so I chose Elemental Hero Heat over Wildheart, although Wildheart would have helped me get around a lot of the traps that I end up having to face, such as, Fiendish Chain and whatnot. So from there, the only other monsters that I played in the deck were, of course, 3 copies of Maxx, and that goes for the monsters that I played in the deck. Okay, so for spells, we're playing 3 copies of Pot of Duality. Now, I know there's a lot of special summoning in the deck, especially with Bubbleman being in there. But the problem with heroes that I find most of the time is that if you don't draw into your combo pieces, you're kind of sitting there dead, hoping they don't just, ram all their monsters right into you, making you suffer for it. So Pot of Duality really helps you search out those combo pieces, especially first turn. If you're just, setting up with Stratos and summoning him and grabbing a card, you can still play your Pot of Duality and dig deeper into getting more of the combo pieces that you're going to need. So really cool. Also, if you need to, if you're already special summoning up a storm, you don't need to use your Pot of Duality, you can always discard it for the cost of your Super Polymerization. So from there, we got, our 1 reinforcement of the army, as well as our 3 copies of E-Emergency Call, our 3 copies of Miracle Fusion. I was playing 2 copies of Super Polymerization, just 2 copies of Gemini Spark in the main deck, and then 2 copies of Mass Change. Now, a lot of people only choose to run 1 copy, if any, of Mass Change right now. There's not a huge amount of targets for Mass Change, but I think the second copy really kind of gave me an element of surprise over my opponent that I would have otherwise not had. They always kind of, once they see the first one, it's all they kind of really expect, and then when I do it again, I play another copy of it, it really kind of throws them off, catches them off guard, and kind of gave me the little edge-up advantage over a lot of the duels that I was in. From there, we just finish up with our staples, 2 MSTs, a Monster Reborn, Dark Hole, and a Heavy Storm, and that's going to do it for the spells. So for traps, we have 2 copies of Solemn Warning, 2 copies of Torrential Tribute, 2 copies of Fiendish Chain, 2 copies of Hero Blast, and then just 1 Tecton Compulse. And that pretty much rounds up my traps. So for the extra deck, we have 2 copies of Elemental Hero the Shining, 2 copies of Elemental Hero Absolute Zero, 1 Nova Master, 1 Great Tornado, 1 Elemental Hero Gaia. That finishes up our actual E-Hero Fusion aspect. For Master Heroes, we're playing 1 Acid, 1 Vapor. I decided to go with a mixture of Acid and Vapor instead of just 2 Acids, mostly to kind of give me a diversity. A lot of times you're not really going to get Acid's effect off when you're using Mass Change, so I didn't want to kind of waste it, and to be able to bring out Master Hero Vapor and have him not be able to be destroyed by card effects is kind of a nice, extra little added bonus. You can like attack into your opponent's wind-up Zen mains, and then they'll have to detach, and they can try and destroy him, but they can't, so he just kind of stays on the field. It's pretty cool. For the rest of the Mass Heroes, we're playing Mass Hero Goka. I am playing Heat in the deck, so it made Goka live, and of course Mass Hero Dian. I kind of wanted to play Wildheart just to make Dian live at all times, but I am playing 3 copies of Maxx in the deck, so at any point I could go into Gaia with a Miracle Fusion, or if my opponent's playing some sort of Earth monster variant, whether it be, samurais or ninjas or whatever, I can always Super Poly into Gaia as well. I remember in one game I was playing against Gadget Player. I was able to Super Poly into Gaia, attack his monster, Mass Change into Dian, attack his other monster, bring out another Elemental Hero and attack directly. It was very cool. Also, Goka gave me that extra little edge if I had Nova Master out on the field when I was taking it to the Dino Rabbit deck, and they were finally able to do something to get rid of my Nova Master. I could then quickly mass change into Goka and keep going with my attacks. So finishing up the extra deck with the Exceeds, we have, of course, number 39 Utopia, number C39 Utopia Ray, and then 2 copies of the Blade Armor Ninja. They are, of course, in there for our OTK plays with Bubbleman, which I will get to in just a minute. So for my side deck, I was playing 1 Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon and 3 copies of Cyber Dragon. This became extremely helpful in Game 2 when I was playing against the Gadget player. Essentially he had swarmed the field with a crap load of gadgets, and then I special summoned out a Cyber Dragon, and he was kind of like, alright. And then I said, okay, remove everything for Chimera Tech Fortress, and I think he was just about as sad can be when I did that. Cleared his whole field out, removed everything from play. It was very cool. From there, we also have 3 copies of Effect Veilers. I didn't main the Mind Control, mostly because I'm only playing just the 1 Utopia and no Synchros. And then, of course, Blade Armor Ninja, you need a warrior, so it wasn't really all that likely to get. So I just kind of kept him in the sideboard in case I needed him. Also have my 3rd copy of Gemini Spark, my 3rd MST, 2 Smashing Grounds, 1 Shadowing Prisoning Mirror, and at one point I had 2 skill drains in here, but I took them out for Dimensional Prison. It's kind of a last minute choice. Some of my buddies had talked me into going with Dimensional Prison instead. In the end, I kind of hoped I would have kept skill drain in the side deck, or maybe even, I don't know if I would have mained it like a lot of players were doing, but it probably would have helped me out in some of the rounds. Okay, that's going to do it for the side deck. Okay, for those of you who are unaware of how the OTK combo works, essentially what you need in your hand is just the Elemental Hero Stratos and a Monster Reborn, and then hopefully your opponent does not have an Effect Veiler. So what you're going to do is, hopefully your opponent's field is also at least cleared, or at least somewhat cleared. You're going to go ahead and summon your Elemental Hero Stratos out, thus getting you a Bubbleman. You're going to set all your back row cards so you can then special summon a Bubbleman out, overlay both of them, bring out your Blade Armor Ninja, detach for his effect, send Stratos to the graveyard, play your Monster Reborn. You bring your Stratos back to the field, get his effect, grab another Bubbleman, special summon the other Bubbleman, overlay the 2, bring out another Blade Armor Ninja, detach for effect again. Now you have 2 monsters out here, 2200 attack, that can attack twice this turn. That does a total of 8800 damage to your opponent if you can get through directly. Now there are, of course, other alternative ways of getting the combo off. If you have multiple copies of E-Call or Reinforcement in the Army, you can just keep grabbing, Elemental Hero Bubblemans and special summoning them out and whatnot. So it is possible to get it in multiple ways, but that is the simplest way you can get the combo off. It works out pretty well, and if you can get your opponent at the right time and they don't have Gores or Tragodia or something crazy in their hand, you can OTK them right off the bat. It's pretty cool. So there you have it, YouTube. This is my Elemental Hero deck that I took to the 100th YCS in Long Beach. For those of you who are wondering, the reasoning behind taking it was I really wanted to have a good matchup against Dino Rabbit. It's pretty much the toughest deck out there, and I felt E-Hero gave me a really good match with Dino Rabbit, and it was still a really strong deck overall. It would still allow me to do really well against just about almost every other deck out there. I ended up having to face Dino Rabbit in the first round, and I was able to be victorious right off the bat. Heroes are very well adapted to taking out Dino Rabbit, I believe. No matter what kind of combo he was coming up with, I seem to always have a really good answer. I was never really stressed out at any point, even when he was setting lots of back row, summoning out multiple Logias. I really felt that I kind of had the situation under control just about the whole time. So Heroes gave me a really good matchup every time I had to face Dino Rabbit. It was really cool to be able to, see my opponent thinking they have, the best deck out there. Which it really is, but this is probably one of the best decks to counter it as well. So in the comment section below, let me know what you think of my deck build of my hero deck. Anything you would have done differently, anything you would have changed, anything like that would be greatly appreciated to know. And I guess that's it for now. This is GalacticGod, out.